There are amazing similarities between NDTV and National Herald. The first set of similarities is both indulge in stock manipulation, money laundering, and tax evasion. Okay, so let's go to National Herald real quick. National Herald was a newspaper that was started publishing in the 1930s. It was intended to be sort of like a newspaper of the Congress Party, and it was going to have publications from various parts of India. Remember, in those days, there was no automatic, transmission of data. So each region had its own news, had its own reporters. You get the idea. And this company that was managing newspapers was called as Associate Journals Limited, AJL. Associate Journals Limited. AJL was publishing newspapers under various languages. The English one was called National Herald. The Hindi one, I don't remember the name. The Urdu one was called Qawmi Awaaz. And not every place published every paper, but the AJL was a holding company that owned the land that was used to build the printing press buildings and so on and so forth. So over a period of time, AJL accumulated losses of up to 90 crores. This 90 crores loss was becoming more and more unsustainable because they had all these places where people had to be paid money, and they weren't making any money. So they decided to close down the operation. Whether they did that so that the land that was associated with AJL, which was conservatively estimated at 2,000 crores, but many say it is worth up to 5,000 crores. So AJL had this asset, which was close to 5,000 crores, let's say, round number, right? But AJL was having a loss of 90 crores. Now, what somebody in the Congress Party did was, let me think up a devious plan. I'll start a new company and I'll make that company a not-for-profit company, which means that it is something that is supposed to be not taxed. The profits are not to be taxed. And using that company, I will acquire the assets of AJL. And then I will enjoy all the benefits of that. So what they did was, the young Indian had a paid up capital of 5 lakhs, just 5 lakhs. What is paid up capital? When you incorporate the company, the founders put some money and say that this is going to be our paid up capital. The founders may be 3 or 4 people. It could be divided in whatever way. In this case, it was Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi who paid up bulk of the capital, 5 lakhs. Now, Young Indian was created to grab the assets of AJL. AJL had many shareholders, including Mr. 𝗀𝘀𝘀𝘀, who I think is the grandfather of Supreme Court Justice Markandeya 𝗀𝘀𝘀. And they all had shares in this. But because there was a loss, they wanted to not give anybody else anything. So they wanted to get rid of all those outstanding shares. So what happened was, Congress had a committee meeting and they decided that, look, AJL owes us 90 crores. We have to do something about it. They don't have the money. What shall we do? So they said that, oh, okay, there is a company called Young Indian, which is a separate company, and that Young Indian is offering 50 lakhs to take the assets of AJL. Now, we don't have anybody else. They never even bid for anybody else. They could have auctioned it. Maybe they would have found the true worth of AJL. Let us give this thing to Young Indian, because this was a fixed match. They wanted to give it to Young Indian because that was owned by Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. So what happens? Young Indian goes and raises money up to 1 crore. And this money is raised how? Through a company called Dotex. Now, Dotex is a known money laundering company. If you give it rupees, it will give you dollars. If you give it dollars, it will give you back rupees. So what happened was, Dotex gave 1 crore as donation, an interest-free, mortgage-free, no securities, nothing, unsecured loan. Well, actually, they said on their books that it was a donation, which meant that you don't have to answer any questions about what the interest at which they are giving the money and what was the collateral against which they were giving the money. All that was not asked. However, Young Indian, which got that 1 crore, said that this was an interest-free loan with no security, no interest, no collaterals. See, this is again the problem. There is the difference in the way the language was worded. So getting this 1 crore from Dotex, taking 50 lakhs out of that, young Indian purchased the assets of AJL. Having purchased that, what they did was, then they wanted to negate all the ownership of AJL. They wanted to get only the entire AJL for themselves. So 90 crores, right? They issued new shares of 10 rupees worth 9 crore, and they gave it to themselves, and there was something left over. I think they gave 76% initially, and then what was left was also bought afterwards by companies that had, these were all like trusts, and these were companies that had, again, the names of Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, two different trusts, two different, one name for Rahul and one for Priyanka. So at the end, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi ended up having 99% of the ownership of Young India. So where are the different angles happening? First of all, stock manipulation. How can you just wipe out all the existing shareholders of AJL without paying them a dime? That was the stock manipulation. Also paying, just down amount of 50 lakhs for something that had 90 crores loan on its books. That's stock manipulation. Money laundering is the Dotex angle. How did Dotex give them 1 crore? They are saying they gave a donation, but Dotex has a proven record of money laundering. So that is the other problem. What people think is that the Gandhis may have given Dotex money abroad in the form of dollars, and these guys converted that and gave it back to them as a donation. Okay. Now the third one is tax evasion. Why is tax evasion being said here? Young Indian intended to publish, but by a faux pas mistake, they said that they were not going to publish. And this is on record. And Young Indian never did any publishing. Because they were not publishing, they did not deserve a tax exemption status. But there was property that was already built, like, for example, the Herald House in New Delhi, which was collecting a lot of rent. And that rent was coming into the coffers of AJL. And now because Young Indian owned that, Young Indian was getting that money as income. But they thought, oh, we were a tax-free company, so we don't need to pay. They're just doing swaha, swaha, swaha. Now, income tax got in and said, look, you don't deserve tax-exempt status. So they pulled that away. And then they said, look, you haven't paid taxes for many, many years. And then they started adding up that. So that's how the tax evasion angle came in. So now, what was Mr. Rahul Gandhi doing in the ED office? He was trying to explain all these things. How is it that, something that they don't even have, 50 lakhs, you use that to acquire something that is 90 crores. And they can't explain this. In fact, there is nothing on record on both AJL's ledger sheet as well as on Congress ledger sheet as to when Congress gave the 90 crores as loan to AJL. So it's all mirror and smokes. So how AJL ended up having this thing, nobody knows. So this is a elaborate scam to try and grab very valuable property for the Gandhis. And it is believed that it was all set up by Mr. P. Chidambaram. And guess whose name always comes up when we talk about NDTV frauds? Mr. P. Chidambaram. Okay, so now you also have one more person who's linking both these things. The most disappointing thing for me about the Modi government is that they did not shut NDTV down, and they did not confiscate all its properties and auction it off. Because if they had done that, it is my contention that 90% of all the channels of all languages across India, they will all be doing something like this to bring money in. Most of them are making losses. Yet you have 30, 40 channels in each language. Who's funding them? And how did the money for funding come from? Can these people explain where they got that money? No. See, this is the thing. And I don't know why, closing NDTV is the equivalent of like Brahmastra. I don't know why the Modi government doesn't want to do it. Anyway, well, I have written a book about NDTV frauds. I've also written a book about National Herald frauds. You can read a lot more detail about how in each city some land was taken and that was abused and misused. You can read all about that in the book. I'm not pitching for the book because there was an ED investigation ongoing. Tomorrow Rahul Gandhi comes back. You and I will not be so lucky. If we are called by ED, we'll be arrested at the end of the day. But Rahul Gandhi, being Rahul Gandhi, he chose to walk a distance because that would make it look more impactful, and there'll be a crowd, it'll inconvenience people. Yeah, let's do all that, right? Anyway, so this is India for you. This is the Gandhis for you. This is Congress for you. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button. Namaskar.